So, look, it did surprise me a few days ago when I saw it said when I knew it was going to come to up to 8 weeks before the National Development Summit. I thought, wow, really? Time is flying, to say the least. So, look, I've made a few brief notes, not really focused on the summit because I've got one event to go before the summit, and I call that the pre-summit. You know, the party before the summit. You know, lots of people have parties after, but why not have a party before? It's Christmas time as well. So, look, Alex, huge thanks for joining myself. It's just 5 minutes maximum. I'm not really someone who's on Facebook for too long. So just a few notes about this coming Thursday evening, what involves, who's speaking, who's presenting. One thing I do notice is a lot more construction-focused attendees who are coming along, possibly because of FON Construction. FON, who've got an app which is designed to help project managers, and they can explain it a lot better than I can because they've created a product, but they're going to explain how what they've created can help project managers and those working on site speed up things a lot quicker. And it's a very easy app to use. They were keen for me not to use the word, you know, it looks simple, but on the background a lot's gone into it, and that's why, or one of the reasons why, they've been nominated by Estates Gazette this year for Prop Tech Awards. So look, I could only squeeze not Estates Gazette, I could only squeeze FON Construction in for literally 4 minutes on Thursday evening, and they were happy to take the 4 minutes. I'm happy to give someone who's won an award or been nominated by the likes of the Estates Gazette. And they were introduced to me through Rob Wilkinson. It's interesting, Rob was introduced to them, I think, through Helen Chorley, maybe someone else, but it's introductions which do make a huge difference. So who else is going to speak that night? And it's a lot less of me, a lot more of Aaron Yahara, who's co-hosting. I'm just going to be behind the scenes most of the time. Might just mention National Development Summit 18 January 2020. Tickets are available already. So Charles Rose, who's going to be speaking on planning policy, looking at the next decade, 2020 and beyond, focused specifically on London planning policy, the new London plan, looking at the ramifications of what's going to happen with the mayor and challenges in terms of planning policy. So I've mentioned Charles, haven't really mentioned too much about Adam Lawrence. Massive thanks for Adam coming down, doesn't speak very often. Look, again, it's recommendation, because I do ask people who they've heard, who's interesting. Some people hear through podcasts. So initially someone recommended me Ruben Selva. I won't even try to pronounce his surname. Ruben suggested I listen to Adam Lawrence, listen to him on podcasts. Fantastic. This year Adam's really got up another level, become involved in Partners in Property in London, and had the opportunity to hear Adam speak at Baker Street, and I thought, wow, this guy really knows what he's talking about. His level of knowledge is phenomenal. Portfolio or has bought and sold, more accurately, in the last decade, in 8 years, 200 properties, both using joint venture finance and not. So really delighted to give Adam a slot to speak on. So I've mentioned Adam. James Pick of Connection, one of my sponsors, is going to be presenting on how to use technology to scale your business. Look, we've got the sponsors there, of course, the likes of Aura Architecture, Ben Richards. Massive thanks for Ben coming involved, not just my Central London Property Network, also the National Development Summit as well. Something which is well overdue, really, to have an architect on board. Personally, I'd like to bring in other exhibitors, other sponsors. I'm really keen to bring in more construction specialists to the event. Also keen to bring in accountants as well. So that may happen in the new year. So I mentioned about James, I've mentioned about Adam, I mentioned briefly about our sponsors, Crowd With Us, as well. They were my initial sponsors in my monthly events. And then Ronald Fletcher Baker came in, James Picker Connection, and finally Aura Architecture. So massive thanks. It makes a huge difference to have those on board. Nice venue, easy to get to, London Bridge Hotel. yards away from London Bridge Station. In terms, I put reflection, and of course, so I'm doing this video from a lovely hotel in Stratford. I could have gone into my co-working space, I'm not sure I will do, although I seem to be spending a bit too much time there at the moment. So I thought, let's come to this nice hotel in Stratford. So in terms of reflection, in terms of what worked, you see on Thursday, Alex as well. And Alex presented, or was on the panel at my last event, and that's one of the reflections. It's something I've done a number of times. It focused on the younger property investors, property developers. Massive thanks to Jack Jiggins who put that event together. Yes, I will bring it back again. Do I think it could be larger? Yes, I certainly do, in terms of the numbers of attendees. So look, there's a good chance I may move that event, the October event. I have two events in October 2020. One focused on younger property investors, property developers, and the regular event at London Bridge Hotel. So in terms of reflections, this year I have attended a lot more networking events, that's for sure. And I've been less on Facebook in terms of ads. I don't think I've spent £1 since March this year. Not saying it's the right decision, just taking the decision from someone or advice from someone who said focus more on the networking side. I have to admit, I can see the benefits. I can also see how Facebook can work really well in terms of ads, and I'm sure I'll come back to ads at some point. But for example, I was at Jane Skinner's event on Tuesday this week. Fantastic, potentially a speaker for the commercial summit. So look, in terms of reflections, what worked well? October, fantastic. I think apart from the January event, which was the National Development Summit, October, in terms of both my birthday meet at the Crown Plaza, Battersea, the reason why it worked really well was Sam Fongo really helped me out. Massive thanks to Sam in terms of the microphone, which the hotel hadn't got organised in time, so massive thanks to Sam doing that. So October worked really well. What am I going to do in the new year? So slightly different. Yes, the National Development Summit in January. Small event in terms of capacity. It's limited to 100. It's the Commercial Summit in March. I haven't really promoted that too much because my focus is on the summit in January. My regular meets, Central London, 10 times in the London Bridge Hotel. Fantastic venue. Look, I breathed there because one thing is I looked at doing an event in April as well. It's 10 years since I've been hosting on a monthly basis my events. April 2010, April 2020. Wow. I was contemplating having a venue or doing something in London Bridge Hotel, maybe making it standing, changing it from presentations to standing, but logistics don't really make too much sense because it's not going to allow me to increase the number of people I can get into the room, which is a shame in a way. I may consider doing something for April, but I've already got a top heavy first part of the year, so I'm not sure it's that essential, to be fair. But October, it certainly does lend itself to having two events, in discussions with potentially a Stratford event as well, so do watch this space. Stratford, or maybe a morning event at some point, but as I say, not in the first part of the year. In terms of reflections as well, massive thanks to, and I'll make this brief because I'm sure I'll go on another live at some point, massive thanks to Aaron Yahara, who's co-hosted Central London for a lot of the year. Massive thanks for Luke Hamill and allowing me to change things around, so that really goes appreciated. And massive thanks for Nicholas for the same as well, Nicholas Marshall. So look, Thursday 28th of November, my final meet until January 2020, 18th of January. I look forward to seeing you there if you can make it along. It's a great event, content rich evening, networking to very, very late as well, because it's so easy to get to from London Bridge Hotel to London Bridge Station. So if you're coming along, try to leave some time. I'm sure some people will be networking before the event as well. Lots of people like to go to the bar. It's a great place to chill out before the event. So massive thanks for joining myself, and that's it.